Good afternoon, everybody. It is always a good time to talk about Michigan football, and so here we are getting ready to do just that. Along with former Wolverine Jim Scarcelli, there he is. I'm Dennis Fithian. We're ready to go. Got the big screen on you, Scar. What's going on?
Danny, it's all good, man. It's always good to talk Michigan football. You know, it's that time of year when as a former player, high school player, and a former high school coach, this is the time that all the college coaches around the country, they want you to come to their camp because they all have camps. Now, Michigan, I've said it many times, they used to have the biggest one in the country. They had like 3,000 people, 3,000 players, 150 college coaches, 150 high school coaches. But they still have their one-day camps now. So they're going to bring guys in. Now, a lot of them are not going to be recruited kids, but there will still be some kids that Michigan wants to evaluate. There are a lot of guys that maybe they're not the 4 or 5 star kids. They're not like, offer as a junior type kids. They want to see what kind of senior year they have. Anyway, that's going on here now within the next couple of weeks. So I just know as a high school coach, I would be working on sprinting with my players to run the 40s, working on the agility, the different drills they're going to test them on, because you want to test well at the camp. So Michigan will have 4, I think they got 4 one-day camps. And this is where you're looking for the diamond in the rough type kid, or the kid that is, maybe they got a Central Michigan, maybe a Boston College offer, and Michigan wants to see them run around, see how they interact with the kid. But that's coming up. And it's an important time for those kids that are not, big timers that are going to really try to represent in a good way at the camps coming up.
I've got good news for all of those of you that are watching. We have Scar coming up with his film 3.0. Now, you might think, man, I've missed the first 2 installments. Well, that's true. You may have, but you can always go back, whether it's YouTube or the podcast. And if you're wanting to watch the play, Scar's got X's and O's and diagrams all over there. You can just go back to any of the previous shows and you can see the last couple of Mondays looking through the dissection of film, or starting with recruiting. That's what Scar's talking about right now, these camps. I've got the schedule up here for Michigan. As we sit here on the 19th, Michigan missed out on the start of this contact period because they had some recruiting sanctions. And so they're now out there and they are able to, I think those restrictions have been lifted. So they are out there hitting the pavement and doubling up their efforts, whatever they can do to get back in there in this contact period. And then you see a dead period. So on May the 19th, so that's next week. And you got the quiet period. And then you've got these official visit weekends, and you just keep, you're talking about that prospect camp, June 2nd, June 4th. They got official weekends in June. June's a big month. You just look through it all the way through from June 2nd, 4th, 6th through 8th, the 9th. You've got prospect camp, June 11th, and then more official visits all the way through those weekends, the 13th and 15th, and then to be right before summer starts. When's that? The 21st.
Yeah. So the time now, the contact where they can go into the schools, they can talk to kids. But, these guys would come in, Denny, they'd want to talk to counselors, teachers that maybe the kid didn't even have in class, the assistant principals, the secretaries. They want to talk to the secretaries at the school about the kid. They're trying to find any kind of dirt they can. How is this kid? So trust me, man, those guys do their homework. They're going into the schools and they're trying to really size up, what is the attitude? What type of kid is this kid? And so, yeah, these guys are busy now, man. I could just say this as a guy that those coaches come into school, Indiana and this whatever Purdue and blah 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 and Eastern set whatever. But when the guy walked in with that damn that M on his shirt, that's a whole nother deal, man. For me, it was a whole nother deal.
Well, for you, you played football at Michigan, but I think that's like that everywhere. You get the big timers. I mean, it's great to have. You have a Big Ten school coming in. There's probably degrees all the way through that. You get a Big Ten school coming in. It's like, wow, that's bigger than a mid-major. But then you get you get a blue blood. You get Michigan walking in, and then it's a real different story.
Yeah, well, that's why people talk about recruiting as a position coach, as assistant coach. It's a hell of a lot easier recruiting for Michigan than it is recruiting for Indiana. So guys sometimes they think that he's a better recruit. No, well, you're selling a different product, so we got a lot to sell.
Yeah, well, lately Indiana might not be the greatest example. It always has been, but after last year, right. I know they're walking in talking about we're on an even footing with Ohio State and Michigan. I know that was the talk right out of the gate. Signetti was like, "We're coming for Michigan," whatever he said. "We're coming for Ohio State," and so far, I mean, you're an Indiana football fan. You're overjoyed.
Oh, the guy's legit, man. He's a legit coach.
Yeah, it's a different story now too. Michigan was always going to attract and have people, welcoming him in and everything else, but they used to get everything. They'd roll out the red carpet, they'd have the visits, the school, the big house, and it would seem like they would be right there. Then at the last second, they would lose a lot of these players when it came down to it over the years. But as I sit here now, it feels like it's much more level.
Yeah, we've been closing. We've been closing deals lately here. Sharon is doing a good job, and what are all the factors involved with that? We don't know, but we're definitely closing. Yeah, we can say Joe Lynn is a factor. But then talking about recruits, I really want to get this kid from Cass Tech, Sadler. I've seen him play in person. Man, he is a legitimate athletic slot player. He could be something really, really special. I just think he's a hell of an athlete. We want to get the state of Michigan kids, and the amazing.
Are you worried, Scott? I want to jump in. I was looking at Sadler. I think the same thing. He's the number one kid in the state. He's this close to being a 5-star. I mean, he's everything that you would want. I was looking at some of his visits that he has set up. Carolina and Belichick, and also Colorado Coach Prime. So you worried about either of those guys might be able to do to woo a kid like Sadler?
Well, it's interesting that he's picked those two guys. You can't be worried about him. You just have to sell what you have, sell what you are, and sell Michigan. But he could be like a Sanistril type kid. We don't know. He could be a kid that comes in as a slot receiver. He's just a hellified athlete. Yeah, but I mean, you can't worry about what other people do. I think going through the recruiting process, just sell Michigan, man. We're right down the street. We're winning championships, and that's all you can sell. I think we're freezing up, Denny. I don't know. Can you hear me? I am not sure if we're still recording, but I'm going to go over some things, assuming that where Danny will get us back up. I took a look at the kid from Montana, big tight end Ludwig. Michigan is recruiting him. He's a 6'4", 235-pound kid from Montana, and he is a Colston Loveland type looking kid. And they had him playing quarterback, running the ball. They had him playing defensive end. But he's a tough kid. He's an athletic kid, and it's good that we have a presence there. We're making a name for ourselves. We had Montana, or we had. Denny says he thinks his internet crashed. But anyway, we recruited Loveland from there. We recruited, and now we got out of Idaho. Now we got a kid out of Montana. So I got to believe it's helping us that we've made our mark there, and you're getting credibility in that part of the country. So I think that's a good thing. We've got credibility with the African kids. We've got German kids. So I think that's a good thing. I just saw Amarion Walker is going to Middle Tennessee State. So maybe that'll be a better fit for him. Talking about the measurables, Amarion Walker is a type of kid. If you look at the measurables, he looks like he's got all the measurables. 6'3", fast, athletic, jump out the gym, but he just didn't perform like you would hope. I think that was his thing, but he definitely had all the measurables from that standpoint.
Hey, it was happened, and I'm not sure. But after that little issue, we're back. See if I can get Scar back in here. I might have to resend him a link. Let's see. We're back. I'm back. Let's do it. If you're just now joining us, welcome in. You've had great timing. We had about a 4-minute blackout where the internet just went out. I don't know. I was doing the same things. I was just sitting here. It's a very helpless feeling. You just sit here, and then it just goes by the boards. But we'll see if we can reconnect with Scar right now. There he is. And there he is. Scar, what happened? Did I fall off and then you were just sitting here talking about yourself?
I don't know if it was going through when I was talking, Denny, but anyway, you're back. I signed out, but
okay.
We're back up and running, and
you were talking about how great Michigan was going to be this year. Pick it up right there.
Denny, that's the first time we had that kind of major technical issue in 4 years. So anyway, you figured it out, man. That's coaching, man. That's called who was it? Gary Patterson, TCU coach. He talked about, someone asked him about halftime adjustments, during a game. He's like, man, forget the halftime adjustments. I got 8 seconds in between plays to make an adjustment. And really that's coaching defense, that's coaching offense. Like, what are they doing? I don't have the game's going on, and you got to make a decision like right now. They threw a formation at me. They're doing something we haven't prepared for. What are we going to do? So you did a great job as a coach there, D. You got back in the game, man.
Well, and working in the radio field for as long as I did, you mess up when you're, young and you're working the boards or whatever else. And then, you hear, well, just try not to make the same mistake twice. And so, you learn from what's going on. One thing about the internet, sometimes you can just be sitting here, you have no hands, you've done nothing, everything's working, and it just goes out. And then you just go through your checklist of some of the things that you can do to bring it back. But some of it is a little bit of a helpless feeling at times when you're live. And that's also what makes being live. You don't want to be dumping out all the time, but it shows you how you can get back up there and get things going. So yeah, we've been talking about Michigan. We talked about their recruiting efforts, and I would point out, because Michigan was not able to had some restrictions, not able to be out on the road. They're back there now. They're also waiting. One of the big things, there's a couple things in the offseason that people are waiting for. One of them is this agreement with how things are going to work with the House settlement and how much revenue sharing, the school, how that's coming together. Is there going to be any restrictions on NIL? Is there going to be a cap? Is there going to be collective bargaining agreement? The weird part is that these schools are recruiting right now for next year, and yet they don't really know the rules. I mean, they know some of the rules, and Michigan is operating one way. Some other schools are like, hey, we're betting that this is still going to be a free-for-all. So there's that part. That, and I know Nick Saban, they were talking about him being like the running college football. He said, I don't know if we need someone up there. He said he'd be a sounding board. That's another thing. All of that they're waiting for. Now you have the 16-team playoff. There's just going to be one more year of the 12-team playoff. Then they're going to go 16. So that is also something in the offseason. You know what the other thing people like talking about nationally, Scar?
What's that? Michigan.
They like talking about Michigan because Michigan, they're waiting in early June for what the next step is going to be when it came down to the sign situation. It could be resolved before, but people are circling June 6th and June 7th, and then doing a lot of talk about, well, this is what we think is going to happen to Michigan. And so there's a lot of that out there, which, can cause people a lot of angst, because if you're coming in and sounding off from any other point of the country, it's going to sound a lot different than if you're someone who's been following this the whole time. So those are the things that have been going on. Now, with that, if you have nothing else, we can go to the film here.
Well, Denny, I don't know if they got some of there were a couple of things I wanted to talk about. The big tight end from Montana. I don't know if it went. I just gave some comments. We're recruiting this big Ludwig kid from Montana. Yeah. And he's a good-looking kid. He's big, 6'4", 235 tight end from Montana. I guess the point he plays defense. They had him running the ball for the Wildcat at quarterback. Love to get him. I guess the point I was making is when you go get Loveland from Idaho, I gotta believe that helps you when you go into Montana. You get if South Dakota, Montana. I just think it's got to help you. When you treat one kid right, you might get good credibility to get another kid from that part of the country. So he's a kid I like. I saw his film. Definite good player. Would like to get him because I think we have a good reputation with the African kids. We've done a good job with some of these kids that were the African kids. We've done a good job with the German kids. I think Michigan is getting that reputation, and I think it helps. That kind of stuff. I talked about Amarian Walker. He looks like he's going to Middle Tennessee State. Denny, Amarian Walker, I don't want to dog the kid or not, but on the hoof, he's going to have all the measurables. Because when these guys come to the high school where Amarian Walker's playing, I'm like, you're going to see 6'3". You're going to see him run. He's fast. He'll jump out the gym. He's got all the measurables. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to look at Mason Graham. You're going to come watch Mason Graham, and you're going to say, this kid doesn't have many measurables. He's not going to win any races. He might not bench as much as and do a lot of these agility drills. But, you got to play too, man. So I think Amarian Walker had the measurables. Maybe he'll have better success there. And then I saw one of these idiots was ripping on Mason Graham in the media. I forget which guy that, they don't think he's a good draft pick.
I saw that.
And I'm like, this guy doesn't, Mason Graham has been hearing that his whole life, that, he don't have the measure. The guy's watching him do a freaking drill, and he's like, oh, he's not an athlete because he doesn't look good running around a cone. Well, he's going to, that's not what he does, man. He's going to take on double teams, and he's going to play football. He's not going to win. He's not going to win the Speedo contest on the beach. You know what I mean? He's not going to be the combine guy. So you got to be, it's good to be a little bit of both. You want athletes, but you want guys that can play football. So maybe Amarin will have better luck at Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah, I hear you on that. It's one of those things when you're watching film that automatically, and in college, it's even worse in college football because you put any kind of tape out there, your rivals are going to look at it. And so whatever, it doesn't matter that, hey, kid could be more of a Saturday player. It might be, he's more of tech, whatever it is, but the rivals will pick it apart and then they'll put it on there. And it's one of those things that you just go back and I think it's a lot of, you can have fun with it, but yeah, some people take that too seriously. I follow someone on Twitter as a guy, I think his name's Kleinman. He's someone who will put videos out there like the Mason Graham one, and it'll be all caps, like Browns fans already down on their top pick, thinking he's a bust. It's like a first day watching 5 minutes of a drill, and half of it is
the smart coaches look at the little things, man. I remember going, working the camp, Michigan's camp for many years, and these coaches are evaluating all those things, but they're, you got to look through and beyond some of the measurables. So anyway, you ready for the film? Okay, you know what? I guess I'm going to get on the film. If you guys can hear me, I'm going to start on the film. Okay. Execution. I really like this number 42 here. I was at the scrimmage and I saw him do some good things, but now you watch the film some more, and they're throwing the football to him. I mean, here he is blocking, and I just really like it. I like 55, Afobe kicking out on this play, and then 42 leading through. That's a good-looking play, good-looking power play. So anytime you got a tight end that can block and catch the football, that's what we want. So we got Klein and we've got 42. And, the defense has to honor this. This is what Underwood gives you. You got to honor quarterback keep off of all this stuff. So all these guys on the backside have to slow down and honor that when you have a quarterback that can run. Anyway, that's a well-executed play. Running back should have just taken it up in there and got what he got. I've talked about this with the stance. It's 3rd and 8. I mean, it's so obvious with the stances these guys are in that it's going to be a pass. So it bugs me that we're so obvious in our stances. 71, showing good athleticism, good protection. The kid moves his feet well. I mean, I know people aren't. There's going to be competition there. The big freshman is going to give him competition, but I think Link is. I think he's an athletic kid. He can handle the edge. He's physical enough to block down. But here's 42 now. You know, we saw him lead through on a run play, and now we're throwing the ball to him in the flat. So, Klein, 42, guys that can block, guys that can catch, and throwing accurate balls. This is the stuff that gives you confidence with the quarterback.
Jalen Hoffman.
Oh, you're back. Danny, you're back.
Yeah, I was watching. You know, I didn't want to interrupt you. You know, you're over there working through the film, you know.
Okay. I'm going to get through this.
Can I give you a point on that little play right there, Scar?
The incomplete?
Yeah. I'm thinking if that's Marlon Klein or Jalen Hoffman or a big-bodied wide receiver, that's an easy pitch and catch. You use your body, you box out, and that's a touchdown all day long. Nothing against Joe Taylor, the special teams ace, but
yeah, Danny, you're I lost you again. Here's Underwood getting outside the pocket, outside the defense. I like our left guard here. This is Gatch, kid that's supposed to be in high school. Here's another kid, the edge, number 37. He's supposed to be in high school too. So you're seeing a collision here. And look at Gatch. This stuff, the coaches see that. Now it's not that 37 isn't a good player. He's got to learn to play technique better. But Gatch shows some toughness and some athleticism, and then he shows the nastiness at the end. But that's a well-blocked play. I guess there's a flag on the play. But Eto plays. He's got to get lower. He's got to get his pad level down. He plays too high. I tell you, I'm getting more and more confidence in Jaden Davis. I think he's got feet. He looks quick. He's athletic enough, but he's a guy that's going to be in the mix. Here's a little stunt we're running here. Nichols had a pretty darn good scrimmage. 33 down here at the edge. We're working a stunt. Linebacker's going to contain, but Jaden Davis shows some athleticism. Now, I know he's not live. He may have been tackled here. But anyway, he's got a little more athleticism than I thought. And he's showing accuracy. He's a guy that, again, that could be I have a lot more confidence in him, in his development, than I did earlier. Okay. Here's 17 again, pad level. Eto's got to get lower. I like 95. He's playing double team good in here. And you just look at both players. Watch these two players. This guy's pad level is lower. This guy's pad level is higher. And you're going to see a little bit of Wink wants them playing football right here at the line of scrimmage or on their side of the line of scrimmage. Pierce, no movement. Eto, a little bit of movement.
I'm not sure I want to say anything, Scar, because I feel like I'll be jinxing myself. Even I don't.
I just want to know you're there because I just don't know if you want to jump in. But we got to play football at the line of scrimmage. And Pierce, Denny, I'm having a lot more confidence in Pierce. And what I saw from Benny, looks like Benny's improved. Pierce and Benny, I think, are going to be our starters. In my opinion, game one. And then you hope the kid from Clemson, kid from Alabama, and these other guys, you see what they bring. But in my opinion, Pierce is looking he's gotten better. And here's Nichols here again off the edge. He's beating the Babalua off the edge. So, again, I feel the edge position on defense is going to be really, really strong. We got 4 guys that can play, and we can beat Ohio State with all 4 of them. So that's
Nichols. Music to everybody's ears. That's a good call.
I just really have a lot of faith in our. We've done a good, Danny. We've since this defense came in with McDonald, we've been really good on the edge. Hutchinson, a job. They did, made a good job transitioning to this scheme, and and you got to be good at that position.
I'm buying what Wink and Sharon Moore had to say in the last couple months, that these guys, maybe one day you're talking about some of these guys being superstars, but right now they got a lot of good players, and not selling anybody short or anything, but they're not somebody that somebody's going to pick on an All-American or maybe even all Big Ten, but that next cut, they got a lot of those guys.
Yeah, we got a lot of good players. Anyway, the line of scrimmage here, here we go, 3rd and 7. You just look at the stance, Denny. It was 3rd and 7 earlier, and you see these flat backs here. It's like, I don't know, man. Players aren't stupid. Defensive players, because it was so obvious 3rd and 8 earlier. These guys are standing up. It's a pass. Anyway, we do a good job defensively up front. There's no movement. And then this guy on the edge loses, just lost. And Babalua pins him in. So that's a good job by Babalua. But I think this is 82 down here. He gets pinned in. And Denny, let me just say this. This is why I think it's good to listen to Scar evaluate a film, and also Jerry. Because Jerry's going to look at things a little different perspective. Because when I look at this play, I see a guy in defense. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And offensive guys will say, oh, that's a great run by the running back, right?
Yeah.
See, I look at it like, the defensive player screwed up. Why the hell are you going inside of this block? There's nothing there but a butt chewing.
I think that's both on this play, though.
Yeah, but if he would have just stayed outside of
didn't hold the end, and then that running back did bounce it out.
Yeah, but anyway, I remember, I always, that's how defensive coaches think, that every play is stoppable. Here's the power play, but it's because I heard Belichick and Peyton Manning. There was a play, and Peyton Manning said, "Oh, the guy did great. The offensive player did this," and then Belichick just countered with, "Well, the defensive guy is confused. He's, So it was the same kind of. I felt really vindicated that here's Belichick. He's obviously he's a smart guy that I respect, and he saw it the same way, that every play is stoppable if you have the right scheme, the right adjustment, and the right technique. But offensive guys,
I don't agree with Bill Belichick. I think a good offense is going to be able to beat a good defense. You're the one. You're the aggressor. You have the ball. You can make the move, and there's sometimes you just can't stop that.
No, Denny, we can go over every play here, and I can explain to you why I think the defense should have stopped it, why it worked. See, I agree with, you've heard me talk. Okay, here's the power play. Yeah. I like Pierce here. He doesn't really make the play, but I like his athleticism. He's in year 3 now, and he's really improved. We're coming off the edge here. We're running a little stunt. And let's see how we do here. It's first down play. This is a stunt we're running, and I could ask you the question: why did the defense guess right? The defense is bringing a blitz, corner edge blitz, and they're stopping it for really no gain. So, what's your answer? How would you respond? What could the offense have done to prevent that from happening?
Well, what's the down and distance there?
It's 1st and 10. It could be anything, run or pass.
Well, it could be, but I think normally when you're set up that way, you're predisposed, and it's Michigan. You scouted them. That's just going to be a run.
Well, okay. Well, if that's the case, then the offense, the counter to the argument would be you're too damn predictable that you run the ball on first down all the time.
Well, right. And that gets talked about a lot. So
I know, but that's
you want to change that up.
It's like I mean, I really I understand exactly what Belichick is saying, that he believes there's an answer for everything. And offensive guys, sometimes they don't understand that defenses will have answers for a lot of what you do.
Well, I think I get both of that, and a little bit of that's fun. Like, hey, I'm a defensive guy. I better have that confidence in my staff and in my players that I can stop anything. That's great to have that belief. And then it's the other way. The offense feels that way. I know in basketball, you can be guarding a player, and if you can be right in front of him, you can do everything. But a really good offensive move, and you could say, well, you could always stop him. I'm going to give the advantage to great offense over the great defense in an individual play. I mean, he knows where the ball's going. He has the ball. There's the one. So, I mean, I guess.
So here, Denny, here's another example. Here's Nichols on the edge, and here's number 70 who does a good job. It's real simple. Does 30 screw up, or does 33 screw up, or does 70 do a good job? See, I would make the argument that, if you're going to go inside, the way I was coached and the way I coached, if you're going to go inside, you better beat them, because now you got the quarterback getting outside, and 70 does a good job. He pins them in. This is exactly what Link did in that big block against Ohio State. So he pins Nickel in. So he does a good job here on the inside go of the edge player. Nichols is coming inside. He's going up, and now he's going to come underneath. He's trying to, but number 70 pins him in. So, is that a good job by the offense or the defensive player rolling the dice? Trying to go inside when you don't beat the guy and you give up the quarterback gets outside of it. Anyway, we could beat that up.
Let me just add that was the tackle from Cal Poly to transfer Brady Norton.
Is that him? Well, he does a good job there. Okay, that's I didn't really zero in on him much. Well, that was a good looking play there. I could see where he's in the mix, but this is good pass protection. What's down and distance? 2nd and 19. Denny, number 85 down here. I'm always going to wonder who the hell's wearing my old number. So he does a good job, makes a nice catch.
Logan Forbes.
Yeah, there's a defensive lineman, I think, and now a receiver. They both wear that number.
Yeah, Ted Hammond's the other one.
Anyway, Denny, this is the stuff that, people look at it and, it's like, but that's what really impresses me from the quarterback position. Let's just be great with this stuff. Let's be great with the gimmies. I mean, we were not great with the gimmies last year. Great protection, be able to do that on first down. So they just can't load up on you. And here's Chip now, Danny. He talked about doing this. Here's 3rd and 7. And we're throwing the bomb, and we're throwing it out here at a 0. Samaj. And you can't just throw the underneath stuff. I get it. He plays a lot of slot. But defenses see that. And he's all, if that's all you run is the underneath stuff with Morgan, it's okay to throw the bomb. And this is what Chip wants to get Michigan. Because, again, when you do this and you can have success with it, it really opens up that box to do a lot of things. Run the football, throw the underneath passing stuff. Denny, look at this play from the very beginning, because this is deception, and I think this is a planned, deceptive move by the offense. Okay, they appear like they're looking to the sideline for a play. It's 4th and 7. Okay, now, was this by design? I think it was by design. The offense appears that they're looking to the sideline. The defense appears that they're looking, figuring out an adjustment, figuring out what the offense is doing, but watch when the ball is snapped. See how the quarterback's looking?
Yeah.
And now the ball is snapped real quick? You have to really take a good look at it. Now, it's not a complete pass, but take a good look at it. Because you see the defense is not lined up when the ball is snapped. When the ball is snapped, see how the defense is not ready to go?
Yeah, that's good stuff.
You see what the offense is? The offense is, this is a pump fake. This is stuff I like. I like this stuff. Because anything that, obviously, though, these guys down here covered the play, but the defensive line wasn't ready to go. So those are little things that I think help an offense. Here's 54.
Before you go any further and I get logged out or something, I like, mixing it up a little bit with Samaj Morgan, but that wasn't a very good throw by Jaden Davis. And with Morgan, sure, there's wide receivers that can go get that, but throwing a jump ball to a guy that's 5'10",
I get it, Denny, but Denny, when you put Morgan in the game,
yeah.
And if I take your philosophy that I'm never going to send him deep, don't you think a defensive coach will understand that?
Well, I don't mind the idea of sending him deep if you're throwing it to the corner where he can stretch out. That looked like a jump ball on the goal line that was underthrown.
Well, it ended up being that because the defense defended it. I mean, it ended up being a jump ball because it was well defended. But if Morgan would have got
that's not a good design. When Desmond made the catch against Notre Dame, that was thrown where only he could get it. He was diving out on the floor.
Well, he had separation. Morgan didn't have any. Desmond had some separation. Morgan didn't have any separation.
So you thought that was an all right throw and an all right route and everything.
No, he had no separation.
Okay,
not enough. Anyway, 54 is showing me something. Big Sprague, and I really like this 23. This kid is all over the field. He's athletic. He's smart. So Sprague is moving dudes. You see Sprague here?
Yeah, Cole Sullivan's 23. Who you're talking about?
I'm just looking at. I'm looking at 1st and 10. I see watch Sprague here coming down, moving this 3 technique. Or no, Sprague's over here on the edge player, but he's knocking him off the ball, keeps contact, knocks him off the ball. But 23 he's everywhere, man. The guy has a good nose. He has a good. He diagnoses plays. He sniffs it out, and he's athletic and he's physical. So he's going to be in the mix. He's going to get some. He's going to be a guy that rotates in. Here's 42 again. They're throwing the football to him. And Denny, this helps so much. Here's 2nd and 6. I mean, this formation, we ran the power play earlier. And here's 23 again, but we ran the power play earlier with this guy pulling and then him leading through. Okay, I get that now. Okay, he can block. The defense sees the kid can block. This guy can pull. But now, you want to have a guy that can because we weren't doing this stuff with Loveland much. I'm just keeping it real. You follow me?
Yeah. So
if I'm playing defense over here, this side of the football, and Loveland's in the game, I don't think I'm getting this play. But if 42 is in the game and 17 is in the game, I got to deal with it. And I got to deal with him blocking here more so. You follow me? But the reason this play is I love seeing it is it's just a simple little out route, but we're throwing the damn foot. They got faith in him. You know what I mean? He's shown that he can catch the football. I get it. It's a 4-yard route. But all these little catches, they build confidence. And then you look at Sullivan here doing a great job in coverage. I get it. It's a short route. Was it a first down? I don't know, but that's what I want to see. Well-rounded tight end. Stance again. Run or pass. Look at this stance, Danny. What's it down in distance? 1st and 10. Is that a run or a pass? Look at our offensive line. Tell me if you think it's a run or a pass.
A pass.
Well, you're not looking at these guys. It's a run. I can tell you I can look at this guy here and tell you it's a run. These guys are a little better. These 2 guys here, I can't really tell run or pass, but I look at this dude right here. He really shows run or pass. And sometimes, Denny, when you're coaching, it's the one guy on the line of scrimmage that really gives it away. You follow me?
I like it. I was looking for that flat back that you were talking about.
Well, he has a flat back. That's what I mean. He's not leaning back like he does in pass. And he just shows it too much. So I just
so they will look at all of that and their tells and their stance, pre-snap, and all of that. And they'll
but Danny, they're not. I don't know. That's all I have for today, man.
That was 15th practice, so you're expecting it that that to be a little bit better. Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying, man. I'm seeing it here, and the coaches they must not think it's a big deal.
Let me throw you some quick hitters. One is that Jalen Hoffman. So he had Bryce Underwood throwing him the ball, and he was targeted a lot, made a lot of nice catches. You featured him, circling him, blocking as well, and he did a good job. So my guess would be that he's not going to be in front of Marlon Klein or Hogan Hansen, but so you got the next Marshall and Tonelli.
Yeah, Danny, stop right there. Stop. Here's what we run a lot of two tight ends.
Right.
Okay, now when you have two tight ends in the game, one on the left, one on the right, and I played the edge position. Okay, if you got Loveland in the game with Klein, if I'm lined up over Loveland, I know they ain't running the football here. They're probably running the other way.
Right.
Okay. If I got Hoffman in the game and Klein in the game, I don't know if they're running to the left or the right. They can run behind 17. They can run behind 42. Hoffman looks like a big physical kid. Listen, Loveland blocked. He got better as he went on. Okay, right. But I think we were really predictable, especially if Loveland had his hand in, next to a tackle. We weren't running there.
Right.
It was predictable. And all that stuff helps you as an offense. You know, you talk about little things that matters. So this is why I'm excited about I want to see a third guy now. So if Hogan Hansen shows that he can do it too, now we have zero imposters in the game. You got it?
Yeah.
I want zero imposters. I want every tight end able to catch a football, every tight end able to come down and block, a 5 technique, a big defensive tackle, at least enough where we can do something. And that's what I'm seeing. That's why it's giving me a lot of hope at that position going into this year.
I will label this over on the Maize and Blue review of Sullivan, Sprague, Nichols, and others as a spotlight. The one part that I was that I made a note while I was over there, those throwing those, and I know they're more than 10-yard passes, and you had Jaden Davis over there. To me, if I'm being honest about it, I saw Orgy throw a lot of those passes last year. He was able to throw those passes.
Oh, in the spring game?
In the spring game, and maybe even in the season. I mean, he was able to throw that one. And I know I'm not. It's not anything's not complete. It's spring, so everything is in context there. But I didn't see anything from Jaden Davis where he's getting the ball down the field. Now he had a drop, and but it wasn't impressive to me. When it came to Underwood, it was the big arm was apparent, and he did have some drops in there, and some of the throws that he made down the field, it was good because he wasn't putting it in a dangerous spot, but he wasn't making any plays downfield either. So it was just a spring game. It wasn't any electrifying. Of course, it wasn't that, but it showed me that this is going to be a real work in progress. And Underwood, I'd be surprised if he threw the ball over. If he starts, he's not going to throw the ball over 20 times a game. It wouldn't surprise me if he threw it only 15 times. It wouldn't surprise me if this was Michigan versus Washington in 2021, where it is a whole ground and pound. Sure, they'll let him do some things because he's got a big arm, and maybe he can, connect on one of those, but it's going to be a lot like 2021. It's going to be a lot like 2022. That's
right. It wins. The formula works, Denny.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I think people are expecting fireworks and
no, that's not what we do, man. Sharon Moore, he was there for 3 championships.
Yeah.
He knows that the formula works. We just got to get receivers that get separation, and the more they fear our run game, and the more you're able to throw bombs every now and then. You got to do it every now and then. And if you got tight ends that can both block and all those little things make it more difficult for defenses to defend you. Jim used to bring that big tight end in there. What the hell was his name? He was a former tackle. We never threw it to him. Remember that kid a couple of years ago? Honigsberg, I think. Right? Yeah. Right. He never caught a ball all year. We never threw to him all year. I mean, okay, you think defenses are stupid? I know what the hell I don't have to cover them. But anyway, all those little things make it more difficult to defend your run game when you have all that other stuff with the shifts, with the motions, with all the BS, the quarterback keep, the quarterback runs. And that's what we got to get to.
That's good stuff. I have one thing that I wanted to put out there. I want to thank Quick Cut for the video and analytics. If you want to analyze and break down film, but a Quick Cut video and analytics, that's QWIK cut, and you're able to get it done there. Do you have any final thoughts, Jim Scarcelli?
No, man. We're just these guys are counting it down, and they're trying to enjoy a little bit of being a college, a normal student, and then it's over, man. It's a mental. You got to get mentally ready for that, Danny. The closer you get to training camp. And
I'll buy that the players. I mean, they're made all season long, and part of it, when they say they're made in the off season, I believe that part too. Somebody was saying, and I look into where we're at. We've always had great internet service, and we're paying for, I think, about the most premium one. So it's always been good. So I feel good about the internet provider that I have. People are saying I've got to check into a new one. I feel really good about them. I also feel really good about the direction of the Maize and Blue review. And if you're someone, it gets to where you're getting close to the end of May, Memorial weekend, and June and July, you're somebody that's counting down the days till college football. We all feel like that. You know what really helps and can really color everything in there real nice for you, it's the Maize and Blue review. You know what's going on with recruiting. You know what's going on. You know all the dates. You're right up to speed on all of it. Being able to get instant access today, go to Michigan.Rivals to get that done, and we'll see you over there.
Hey, Denny, let me just close on this. You mentioned the strength and conditioning and building a team. And like this time of year is when you build a team, and absolutely right. Absolutely correct. Mike Gittleson, when I was playing, he was there for 30-some years. He was brilliant with strength training and conditioning, but he spoke to the team before the workouts. He spoke to us after. And his strength crew was crucial. Ben Herbert that went out with Jim was crucial. So this is Justin Tress time, and it's very, very important, because he's speaking to them before they lift, and he's speaking to them after, just like a head coach. It's the one guy that speaks to the whole team. Maybe it's at different times, but they have their group workouts, and you're building team. You're building a togetherness, with in the weight room, and it carries over. So trust has got to be good, man. All that stuff matters.
Yeah. Well, when I hear people say that if it's not the head coach, maybe the most next important person is the strength and conditioning coach. I think that's where this is coming from when they go over there.
I mean, the guy's crucial in college football because he spends a lot of time with the players, and he speaks to the whole group. A defensive coordinator doesn't speak to the whole team.
Nope.
No position coach speaks to the whole team. So that guy has to be an extension of the mindset of the head coach. They got to be in line with we all talk about the culture, right? Everybody talks about the culture. Well, the head coach is the culture. The head coach is the definition of culture, as far as I'm concerned. And that strength coach better be right in line with everything he's talking about.
I'm with you. You're making sense to me. Great job, Scar.
All right, Danny.
Way to carry it. Way to carry it like always.
I don't know what was being recorded, but that's called adjustment, Danny. I've been there as a coach. They got information you ain't never seen, man. You ain't never seen it. They never showed it, and you don't want to use your timeouts, and you got to make an adjustment, man. You got 10 seconds. What do I do, coach? Well,
you did it. You're player of the week.
All right, Big D, go blue.
There he is, Jim Scarcelli. Great being with